Hello, everybody. Good day from wherever you're watching me all over the world. My name is Emmanuel Remilekun, and I'll be your piano instructor. So for this episode, we'll be having an introduction to piano. We'll be looking at the history of the piano, and we'll be looking at the differences we have between piano and keyboards. You know, we've had misconceptions before now. Some call it piano, some call it keyboard. So we'll be looking into that. What makes a piano piano? What makes a keyboard keyboard? Also, we'll be looking at the fingering placement on the piano or the keyboard, whichever you call it. And I will just need your attention, and I will need you to follow. Okay, let's start right away. So we'll be looking at piano. Let's look at the history of piano. Piano was invented by a man called Bartolomeo Cristofori. Yeah, Bartolomeo Cristofori. He was an Italian man from Italy, and he lived in the 17th century. He was actually bothered by the intensity of harpsichord. Before piano, what we had was harpsichord. And harpsichord as a then, you can't really control, you can't really play soft. The volume they are all of the same. You know, at the slightest touch, what you have is equal volume. You know, something like this. All the volume, you can't really play soft. So this man was bothered about having something whereby you can alternate between playing soft, playing very quiet, and playing very loud. And that thought led to what we call piano today. That thought led to what we call piano today. So when piano was invented in the 17th century, now we now had something we can really, you know, play very, very soft on. Compare with the harpsichord, whereby all are of equal volume. You know, so when piano was being invented, we now have a variety of dynamics. You can choose to play soft, you can choose to play very loud, and the choice is now yours to choose. So also now we'll be moving on to what differentiates a piano from keyboard. Now, when piano was invented, it was purely an acoustic instrument, meaning sound were being generated manually. Meaning you don't have to plug it to, you don't need NEPA, you don't need any source of light for something to work. So you just, at any point in time, you just come to the piano and you play it. And the way it works, you have some set of strings inside the piano. So when you touch a key, there's a string that responds to that. And that's how the sound is being generated. But compared with keyboards, they need power. You have to, you know, connect them to light for us to be able to play them and for us to have sound. Also, for piano are always weighted keys. This is what I mean. When you play them, this is a keyboard. What I'm having here is a keyboard. But piano are always weighted key. After this episode, the next one, we'll be moving on to a piano, so you can watch out for that. Meaning, when you touch the keys, they are quite heavy compared with the keyboard. But for the keyboard, you don't need to really exert a lot of energy or strength for you to bring out sound from it. So what I have before me is actually a keyboard. Also, piano, most times, not all the times, there are always 7.5 octaves. 7.5 octaves. But keyboards are always, most times, 5 or 5.5. So the length differs when you look at keyboard and when you look at piano. And another thing that differentiates piano and keyboard is the numbers of keys. We have 88 keys, which is 7.5 on the piano. Okay? 88 keys on the piano. But you have lesser than that on the keyboard. And why? Somebody will ask me, why are the keys 88 keys It's very simple. The reason why the keys are 88 keys is because the frequency human ear can actually pick is about like 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And the pitch human ear can really distinguish is about like 50 hertz to 4,000 hertz. Now, so when you check the lowest note of a piano, that's the A ending. I'm going to show us in the next episode. When you touch it, what you're going to have is something you will not be able to pick the pitch. I will demonstrate that. When you touch it, anything lower than that, you won't be able to distinguish which exact pitch is this. And also, when you touch the highest note on the piano, which is about like 4,500 hertz, anything after that, you might not be able to distinguish the pitch. So the reason why we have 88 keys is because these are the range of sound human ear can actually pick and distinguish. So after saying that, how do we play the piano? Do you just come? Do you just touch? Do you just... No. One of the things we need to put into consideration has to do with posture. You know, you don't play piano as if you are riding bicycle or you are snapping a picture. No. You must stand upright at angle 90. Your back should be straight. And that's one thing that is very of great importance. Also, you don't play piano with a chair that has arm, armless chair is the best so that you can really navigate and move around easily. Also, the stand you're going to be using should not be too high or too low, should not be too tall or too short, because if it is too high, you'll be feeling pain after playing for a while. So make sure that the height is comfortable for you based on your own personal height. You can't compare yourself. Some people are very tall, some people are extremely short, some they have average height. So based on your height, make sure the stand is not too high for you or too low. So having said that, so we'll be looking at fingering position for the piano. Now we play the piano with the tip of our fingers. We play the piano with the tip of our finger. So the not ear, the tip of the finger. And the way we position our both ends, just imagine you have a tennis ball or small orange with you, something like this. Just imagine you have something like this and you're holding it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So look at this. I think this orange is too big for me, but something smaller or something like a tennis ball. So you are supposed to have a curve. Your fingers are supposed to curve. Your fingers are not supposed to be flat. And your wrist is not supposed to be too high or too low, because it will affect your flexibility. It will affect your flexibility. So we play with the tip of the finger, as I said earlier on. But for the thumb, we play with the side, this part. Because you can't play like this. So it has to be like this. So you can see that. I'm very sure the camera will zoom in into this. And so you can see that on your screen. We play with the tip. Also, the way we play the piano, just imagine you have your two legs walking. You can't be walking like this. Meaning, when one foot is up, the other one is down. This is what I mean. You don't walk like this. So this is what you have. So just imagine your fingers are walking. So you have your fingers curving round, and with the tip on the keys, then gently, when you are lifting one, the other one is going down. When you are lifting one, the other one is going. When you are lifting one, the other one is going. When you are lifting one, the other one is going. Now, naturally, these last two fingers, they are very weak compared with these first three fingers. So when you just embark on your journey of piano playing, you have to work more on these last two fingers to make them as strong as these first three fingers. So don't forget, we're having curved fingers and one by one. So you can just practice that. No, just place each of your fingers. You're having 5 fingers. Place them on any 5 keys at random. You can pick any 5 white keys at random. So just touch one by one. Make sure each of the fingers is pressing the keys. Then there shouldn't be any 2 fingers at a time. Something like this, no? So you can do that. Just do that slowly. Your first 5 fingers, you go up. Just pick any key at random. You can start from anywhere. The sound doesn't matter. What is of great importance is your position of your fingering position rather. So you go slowly, just pick and then you do that for the left hand. Now, if you are right-handed, then your left hand will be weaker. If you are left-handed, your right hand will be weaker. So if you practice this, if you are right-handed, for example, if you practice this for maybe like 5 or 10 times, you have to practice this for like, maybe 20 or 30. You have to double the effort you put into this for this. So I am right-handed. So if after I'm done with maybe 5 of these, 5 rounds, just do it slowly. The speed doesn't matter at this beginning part. What is needed is your stability and flexibility. How stable are you? How consistent are you? So don't rush into. Don't come and do. No. So just take it gently. So when you are done, you have to pick your left fingers as well. Then repeat it and do it over and over. Also, gently. Now, don't allow your fingers to be flying. You are not jumping out of anywhere. So make sure they are well positioned. Slowly with the tip. You can pick any key at random. Okay. So when you are done with the left hand, you cannot combine the 2 ends together. And do it slowly, one step at a time. So what are the things to avoid? When you're moving to the next key, make sure you are releasing the previous key. So don't do something like this. No. There's no way you will lift your leg and your other feet will still be on the ground. Or you can't lift your 2 feet at the same time. So just imagine you're walking, the way you walk, just like bicycle and pedal. So you do it gently. Now make sure you are stable and you are consistent. Don't do or no. Then also don't let your fingers to be flying like this. No. Make sure they are well positioned. Good to go. They are ready. So you go slowly. As I said, you can pick any 5 white keys at random. You can pick these. You can pick any. Then you can now increase the pace, the speed, slowly. You can do it slowly. Also, avoid pressing 2 keys, pressing in between the keys, something like this. No. Make sure each finger is for each of the keys, not. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, slowly, each of the keys, each of the sounds should be distinguished from one another. Then you can now increase the pace little by little, So after you have done it over and over and over and over, one thing about our fingers, and one thing about when you are learning anything, the initial stage, it will be as if it's difficult. But the more you do it often and often, often and often, often and often, your fingers on their own will get used to it. That you will even be able to do it, at a greater speed. All right, so that's the positioning, the fingering positioning on the keyboard or piano. Now, this might seem boring, but it's the foundation, so you really need to do it very well. Even scripture says, if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? This is the bedrock of your flexibility when playing the piano. Because if you can't play this very well, if this is not smooth enough, you won't be able to play a lot of things. You're not going to have flexibility. So it might seem boring, it might seem not interesting, but it is highly recommended because it's going to help you. Because on the long run, each of your ends have to function differently as an individual, as if they are being controlled by two different people entirely. So this will form the bedrock of your flexibility. So ensure you do it very well. Go at your own convenient speed, okay? And don't do something like this. Let it be even. If you can play this very well, then gradually things will be much more easier for you. You'll be able to play songs much more faster. You'll be able to, because your fingers are well prepared, they are ready. You're going to have much more flexibility. So I haven't said that. Now I'll be talking about what are the names of all these keys. We are just having black and white keys, black and white. What are the names? Now, just like we as human, we all have our uniqueness. We all have our differences. So each of these keys, if you notice, the sound differs from one another. We don't have two exact sound on the piano or on the keyboard. All the sounds, they differ from one another. So, I haven't said that for recognition's sake, so that we're able to identify, oh, this is this sound, this is this sound. Then the first 7 alphabets of the English language was being borrowed. So this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This is the first octave. I can call this second octave because this is next to this. So C to C is an octave. Another C to C is an octave because you're having 8 notes, 8 keys if you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 1. This is first octave, second octave, third octave, fourth octave, and a fifth octave. So one of the major differences also between a piano and a keyboard is the octave. Meaning a piano will be longer. Most times a piano will be 7.5 octave. And the 7.5 octave is like you're having 1 octave being added. You're having a range here, 1 octave here, and you're having another octave here. So you can go lower in pitch, and you can also go higher in pitch. Okay? Another thing I will explain as regards posture when playing is that your chair should not be too high, and you should also centralize yourself when sitting so that you can easily, your hand, you can easily reach out to other keys that are at the far ends. Imagine you are seated by this side. How do you want to play this? Especially if you are playing a piano that is far much more bigger than this. How do you want to reach out to this? Or if you are sitting also at this extreme end, how do you? So make sure you are always at the center, and make sure you use a chair that is adjustable. So if you have to stretch out your arms, you should be able to hold the piano at the two edges or at the last two octaves. So that means you are centralized, okay? So another thing I'll be talking about is pedaling. How do you pedal? Now the piano the piano we had in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, before now, we used to have 3 pedals or 2 pedals. One is called the sustain pedal, one is called the damper, and the other one is sostenuto. So we used to have 3 pedals. But this is a keyboard, and keyboard is a modernized musical instrument that has a lot of programming in it. So to substitute for one of the pedals of the piano, then something was being created called the pedal. I'm going to show you. You have it. You have this down there. I know the camera is picking it. So most times we use our right foot, to press it. What does this? What's the function? It helps you, to sustain a note. Imagine if I press this, or I press this. So you play it with the tip of your feet. You can see the difference. It will elongate. So you don't play with the side of your feet or with this. No. It should be like this. Your feet should be on it. So when you need to press it. Can you see this? If I don't press the pedal, can you see the difference? So there are sometimes you want to elongate your note, okay? So you can press the pedal. So this is how you use the pedal. So some keyboard comes with sustain pedal on their own, but sometimes you might not be able to control the pedal on the keyboard because it will just sustain. But this, you can control the length if you want, and you can control how long or how short it's going to be. And care and maintenance of your piano or your keyboard. Care and maintenance. And the first thing on my list is that you shouldn't place your piano or your keyboard near a door or any entrance where somebody can bump into it. So imagine maybe there's an entrance here, you place your keyboard, somebody can just walk into it, and bump into it. So you shouldn't place your piano. You should be at a place where movement will be restricted. That is one. Another thing is you should get dust cover for the piano when it is not in use. So when you're not playing, you cover it because of dust. Also, you shouldn't keep the piano close to a window. You shouldn't keep it close to a window because of dust. Because of dust, you can have something like this, to cover it when it's not in use. Cover it when it's not in use to avoid dust. Because by the time the dust starts settling into these little openings in between the keys will be seasoned. They will not be functioning very well. When you press it, you will need to press harder, or some will not even work. Some will not work at all, and you will have to be spending money over and over, to fix it. So make sure you cover it, because each of these openings matters. Don't allow dust to settle into it. So the first thing, don't keep your keyboard near any entrance or where people, are really much. Also, cover it properly. Another thing is, you should also get surge protectors, power sequencer, and UPS. All these, they are of great importance. Also, another thing is, always ensure that when you're done playing, because some of us, we sweat a lot. So when you're done playing your piano, if you are very observant, you see little drop of sweat on the keyboard. So you can always have a rag, to clean it. A dry rag, please, not something very wet, to just dust it, okay? To clean it, to clean off the sweat also. And if you can, always wash your hands before playing, and if possible, sanitize it, because you've touched a lot of things. And a lot of people also have played the piano. So I won't say you should wear gloves, but however, just ensure that the piano is always neat. So just ensure that the piano is always neat and good looking. All right, thank you for now. See you in the next episode. Everyone, I'm back again. I want to believe you really enjoyed the first episode. And this is the second episode. I've been able to demystify it and explain things about the piano and about the keyboard. So for this episode, I'll be speaking about what I tag sound in print. Sound in print. Just like every other language that we have. Just the way I can communicate to you without actually speaking, I can write down and you can decode what I have in mind. Also, sound also can be written, can be penned down in such a way that when you see it, you can interpret the mind of the composer or the writer, as the case may be. So I haven't said that. Let's assume you are in US or UK and you have something in mind. You have a structure in mind you want to build somewhere else. You can actually call, beckon on an architect to draw something for you, to give you a plan, to give you a blueprint. Then a builder can interpret that. So the same way, you can also pen down sound. You can write down sound. And somebody else can interpret it. So I'll be talking about sound in print. So I'll be looking at symbols of music, and I'll be able to demystify things that seem strange, signs that seems strange in music. So in the first episode, I made mention of the fact that we have 7 alphabets. Don't forget, 7 alphabets in music, and I showed us the 7 alphabets. And what are the alphabets again? We have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, we have E, F, G. So for us to be able to write down this different sound, then something was being invented, which is what? Lines and spaces. 5 lines with 4 spaces in between. And this group of 5 lines and 4 spaces is being called staff or stave. Staff or stave. These lines and spaces are being used to represent sounds of various pitches, to represent the musical alphabet. So a line or a space is standing in and representing a particular alphabet. So if you just see a line in music, it's telling you, okay, this is an alphabet. Or any space, this is a particular sound, this is a particular pitch in music. So group of 5 lines, okay. 5 lines being grouped together is tagged as staff or stave. Staff or stave. Staff or stave. Okay? So they are being used to represent alphabet of various pitches. So I haven't said that. The next thing I'll be explaining is what we call clefs. Clefs are musical symbols that are always being placed at the beginning of a staff. So if you see 5 lines and 4 spaces, there's no how you can draw 5 lines without having space in between. So just check my finger. Imagine all these are lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, you have spaces in between. So if you have this, and there is always a symbol at the beginning, we have 2 types of those symbols. The first one is called the treble clef, and the other one is called the bass clef. Their function is to fix one line, to fix the alphabetical name of a single line out of the 5 groups of lines you're having together. So the first one is what we call the treble clef. So you put the treble clef on a staff. And what's the function of this treble clef? It fixes the second line. Now, this is what I mean by the second line. We count from below. We count from beneath. This is line 1. The next one is line 2. The next one is line 3. The next one is 4. And the last one is 5. So not from up, down. We count from below, upward. So we have line 1. We have line 2, line 3. So what the treble clef does is to fix the second line. If you notice the drawing, the treble clef curves around the second line. So it fixes the second line of the staff as G. As G. So you can now use the G as a landmark to get every other alphabet. So the second line, if the second line is G, you know, after the second line, there's a space that follows suit. After G, in music, there's no H. So the next thing is A. After that, you have another line, which is now the third line, which is B. Then you now have the last space, which is D. And the next thing is a space, which is E. And the last line is F on the treble staff. Okay? Now, when you put a clef on a staff, you call it treble. You use the name of the clef. Then you use the staff as a surname. Let me use that. You know, it's just like when a lady gets married, the lady has to pick the name or the surname of the husband. That will now be our own new surname. So if you put, for example, treble clef on a staff, so you will call the entire thing now treble staff. Okay? So I haven't said that there's a space before the G. So the space before the G is not going to be F. What comes before G alphabetically is F. And also there's a line before the space, which is the very first line. And that will be what? That will be E. Okay? So we use G as a landmark, as a reference point for us to get every other alphabetical order. So the clef fixes the second line as G. We now use that as a reference point. So you have G. So on the keyboard or on your piano, the G I made mention of, this is it. This is what you are having. This is the G. This is G. Just, I know the camera is going to zoom in, so just check. This is the G. So when you see anything being put, you know, anything being placed on that particular line, which is the second line, where the treble clef drawing ends, this is what they are making reference to. So the space that precedes that line, this is it, F. And the very first line is E. So this is E, this is F, and this is G. I come again, this is E. So you can say the first line on a treble staff is tagged or is known as E. So this is E, and the space after is F. So apparently, this particular key is a line, a space, a line, a space, a line, a space. Do you understand? We have E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay, so from the first line to the last line, from the very first line to the fifth line, this is what you're having. This is the border. So if I'm to pick out only the lines, you're having this, you're having this, you're having this, you're having this, and you're having this. So each of these forms the line. So when you see anything on that line, on any of those lines, they are making reference to these keys in particular. They are making reference to these keys in particular. So this is a line, this is a space, this is a line, this is a space, this is a line, and this is a space, okay? Now don't forget, the first thing we did was for us to fix G. The first thing that happened was that the clef fixes the second line. Don't forget, we count from below, from beneath. The second line, it fixes it at G. We now use that as a reference point. So if you're having the other type of clef on the staff, which is the bass clef, it's been drawn like a stylish F. Okay? So what happens is that, what happens when you have the other clef up together? Okay. All right. So Adibin, what we have is not the treble clef. It's the other type of clef. The other type of clef is called, or is known as the bass clef or the F clef. And the reason why it's being called F clef, we have two reasons. Number one, it looks like a stylish F, if you check it the way it's been drawn. Also, it fixes the fourth line of the staff as F. If you take a closer look, you see two dots. Two dots, around the fourth line. If you count the lines of the staff, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see two dots. So it fixes the fourth line as F. So just the same way we now use G as a reference point, this time around we'll now be using F as a reference point, okay? So what we have is, we have F, and before F, we have a space, which will now be E. Before E, we have a line, which is now a D. Before D, we have a line. So from F, before F, what do we have? We have a space, which is E. After that, below that E, we have a line, which is a D. Below the D is a space, which is a C. Okay, then below the C is a line, which is a B. Then below the B is a space, which is an A. And we now have the very first line, which is now G. So our reference point, our landmark was from F. So we now counted downward. F, before F, we have E, we have D, then before D, we have C, before C, we have B, before B, we have A, and before A now, we now have G, okay? Now, above F is a space. And that space, if you count alphabetically A, B, C, D, E, and F, the next thing is G. So above that space is a G. Now, the very last line for the bass clef now, for the bass staff now, because you now have a clef on the staff, so it will be bass staff, not bass clef now. If you're having the clef in isolation, not being placed on the staff, you can call it bass clef. But immediately you place it on the staff, you call it bass staff. So the very last line of the bass staff now is known as A. All right, is known as A. Is known as A. And this is the A. This is the A. Don't forget, this is the E for the treble staff. This is the A. Okay? So this is the A. This is the very last line. This is the fourth line. This is the third line. This is the second line. And this is the very first line. So for the first line on the bass staff, this is the G. The second line, this is B. The next line is D, which is the middle line, the third line. And the next one is F. And the next one is A. Okay? So this makes up the 5 lines of the bass staff. You have G, you have B, you have D, you have A. You have F, and you have the last one, which is A. So in between, there are spaces in between. And what are the spaces? You have A, you have C, okay, you have E, and you have G, okay? So if you want to count it one by one, all these are there as a result of the landmark, which is F, the fourth line. Don't forget, F, the fourth line. So we now use the landmark to get every other thing. So the very first line and the last line, which is G and A, this is what we have. This is G, this is A, all right? And for the treble staff, we have E, okay? We have E. E is the first line, okay? And the very last line is F. So this is what we are having, okay? This is the bass, this is the treble. So this is the range, okay? Now, if you notice, then the staff is limited. Very, very limited. So we need an extension to show other pitches, because this is not the last pitch we have. So for us to be able to show other pitches, a mechanism was being also invented, which is what we tag as ledger lines. So ledger lines, they are short horizontal lines. Check your screen, you're going to see that. Short horizontal lines that are being used as an extension on the staff. As an extension on the staff. Okay? So if I want to show, and it also functions just the way we have the lines and spaces. So if I want to show a line after this F, I want to show maybe a pitch. I want to show this A. All what I need to do is go above the F, which is the last line, and draw a short horizontal line. Draw a short horizontal. So if I needed to play something like maybe sound C, or maybe sound E, sound G, and sound B, okay? I'll put it on the first line of the treble staff, the second line, and the third line. So I'm going to have something like this, and something like this, okay? Also, maybe on the, I want sound G. I want sound G, sound B, and sound D, something very low. I'll put it on the bass staff. So I'm going to have something like this, and something like this. Okay? Okay? So, for example, maybe I wanted to play a song like maybe Joy to the World, something like this. You can see that. So what I'm going to do is just to come to space C. Space C, which is above the middle line of the treble staff. And put the notes, and it will not come down like that. Put the next one. 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 As simple as that. Okay? Now, if you notice, I never made mention of these black keys. So what we have for the black keys? Now, before I explain the black keys, there's something we call semitone. Semi means half of something, okay? Now, just like the way we have a form of measurement for every other things outside music. For example, for people that, for the carpenters, they make use of inches. You know, for people that do sell land, they make use of kilometers and meters. For people that sell fish or frozen foods, they make use of kilogram and gram. So also we have a form of measurement in music, which is tone and semitone. So the tiniest, the minute interval or distance you can have between sound in music is what we call semitone, okay? Semitone, meaning the smallest interval possible between two sounds, okay, is what I call semitone. So semitone means half of a tone. So meaning two semitones, just like you can have two semicircles, two semicircles are going to give you one whole circle. So two semitones is going to give you a tone, okay? While four semitones is going to give you two tones, just like having four semicircles. They're going to give you two complete circles, all right? So I haven't said that. If you notice on the keyboard, if I touch this, what is the closest? What is the closest key? This is the closest key to it. So meaning this is the closest sound to it, all right? This is the closest to it. So having said that, the distance between this and this is what we call semitone. And also the distance between this and this is a semitone, okay? So meaning the distance between this and this now is now a tone. A tone comprises of 2 semitones, okay? So if I'm to ask you, okay, what is the distance between maybe C and E? Just come, this is C and E. From here to here is 1, from here to here is 2, from here to here is 3, from here to here is 4. Again, from here to here is 1, from here to here is 2, from here to here is 3, and from here to here is 4, okay? So you can just, maybe you've been hearing something like, oh, can we go up a semitone? It means you are moving to the nearest key, or can we come down a semitone? You are moving downward to the nearest key, okay? So if I'm to ask you, what's the semitone between C and F? The first thing is to locate your C and F. This is C, this is F. So calculate it from here to here 1, from here to here 2, from here to here 3, from here to here 4, from here to here 5. So that is 5 semitones, okay? Or 2 tones and a half. Because this is a tone, this is a tone, this is a tone, okay? So now, I haven't said that each of these black keys, if you notice, each of the black keys, they're actually a semitone away from each of the white keys. So if you check, this is semitone away from here, this is semitone away from here, this is semitone away, this is semitone away. Okay? So for us to be able to identify these black keys, they don't have a different name on their own. They borrow their names from the nearby white keys you have around them. Okay? They borrow their names. So for example, you have this in between these black keys. So the name for this will be borrowed from here and here, okay? So we now have two to three symbols actually. We call them accidentals. Accidentals. We have the sharp. Just look at your screen. It looks more like an ash on the phone. It's been drawn like an H that has double stroke that passes through in between it. So we have the sharp. What does the sharp? What's the function of the sharp? What the sharp does is to increase, is to add by a semitone, by half. And the flat is the reverse of the sharp. The flat decreases, okay? So the sharp increases while the flat decreases, okay? So we have the flat. The flat is like a stylish B, but not really a B. So it looks like a B. So the way they work, they function just like the semitone. So they either increase or decrease. So you can see the ash, which is the sharp. You can see it as something that increases. And you can see the flat as something that decreases. Okay? So this particular black key is being called C sharp, and I will explain. This is C. It means you are moving from a C, you are moving a step, you are moving a semitone. So this is C sharp. Or you can also call it D flat. Because if you check from here, this is D. You are moving a step backward from D. All right? You are moving a step backward from D. So this is C sharp or D flat. Don't forget, C sharp or D flat. All right? So when you are saying C sharp, it means the reference point is from C. That's a landmark, and you are moving forward from C. It's an increase. But if you are saying D flat, it means the reference is from D. You are moving backward from D, okay? So we call these enharmonic names, meaning the same key, the same pitch, but you have 2 names. For example, I'm Emmanuel. I also be a Remilekun. So some people might decide to call me Remilekun. Some people might decide to call me Emmanuel. You can be Johnson, or you can be Thomas at the same time. Some people can call you Thomas, but it's still the same personality, the same person. So this is C sharp or D flat, all right? So you are moving from C upward, you have C sharp. You are moving backward from D, you have D flat, okay? So it's as good as you're having 1 plus half, you're going to have 1 and a half. You're having 2 minus half, it's still the same 1 and a half. But 1 was an increase from 1, while the other one was a decrease from 2. Okay? So you have 1 plus half, 1 and a half, 2 minus half, 1 and a half. So using that as an example, we can also proceed to get every other black note. So this is C, C sharp. If you are using the sharp, this is C, C sharp. This is D, this is D sharp, This is E. This is F and F sharp. This is G and G sharp. This is A and A sharp. All right, this is B and C. But if you want to use the flat, this is C, this is B flat, okay? This is A, this is A flat, this is G flat, this is F, this is E and E flat, then this is D and D sharp. Sorry, D flat, we are going backward rather, and this is C, okay? So it depends on where you're coming from. For example, maybe you're coming from F and you move. You call this F sharp because the reference is from F. So with this, I've been able to explain. Now, on the staff, how do you show the black keys? The lines and the spaces only shows the white keys. So how do you show the black keys? Very simple. If I need to, for example, maybe show F sharp, I only need to just locate my line or space F. For example, the first space, don't forget we count from below, on the treble staff is F. So I will just come there, put a note there, then attach the sign to it. As simple as that. Meaning instead of playing F, you play F sharp. If you want to show, maybe also I want to show B flat. Okay? I will just come, locate my B, go to the middle line of the treble staff. Okay? Then add a flat to it. Okay? So you can have two notes on that middle line. One can carry flat and another one might not. The one that carries flat means instead of you playing the ordinary B, you're going to play B flat, okay? So I've been able to explain the lines and the spaces of the staff, okay? So I hope you have enjoyed this. Watch out for the next episode.